Welcome to the podcast. We're kicking off the 4th season of the podcast, a space designed to have raw, real, and authentic conversations around health and wellness, featuring none other than our incredible pure ambassadors of wellness. Hey Bulldogs, welcome to the podcast. My name is Melissa Norris. I am a health educator at the Student Health and Counseling Center, and I have our pure ambassadors of wellness here with us today. So we're going to go around and do some quick introductions.
I'm Marin.
I'm Victoria.
And I'm Misha.
And shout out to both Marin and Misha who have birthdays in the next few days. So happy birthday in advance to both of you. I'm excited to dive into the conversation, but I feel like before we fully get into the conversation around balance today, I kind of want to check in. How's the first few weeks of the semester been for you guys?
It's been exciting.
Exciting? Okay. That's good.
Stressful. It's been rocky, very rocky.
I would say hectic.
Hectic?
Trying to balance everything, and Google Calendar is a blessing. I will say that.
Yeah. And we'll shout out to parking real quick.
Oh yeah.
Have a moment of silence for parking. Yes, we're with you. I think definitely the start of the semester is always a really stressful time. What are some of the things that I think are bringing up that kind of stress for you guys right now, or the excitement, as you very politely said? I like that word.
Well, now I can only think of stress, but I would think of the parking lot, yeah. Because I can't park in my usual parking lot, so I usually have to park at the St. Mart Center.
Have you guys had exams and schoolwork just hit the ground running already?
Yeah. I was like, it's the first week and they want me to write a 2-page paper.
Right.
I don't think so.
Well, it's funny. We went to social media and kind of asked students, what is stressing you out right now? And I had to laugh because one of them, I think we all can appreciate this example. Someone says, my professor made something due at 12:01 a.m. the day after Labor Day. Anybody relate to that right now? Coming off of a 3-day weekend. Oh, I get my 3-day. No, I don't. There goes my 3-day weekend right there, right? I think the pressures hit, and they hit hard. They hit fast in the semester, and even more so, I feel like, in the recent semesters.
I think a lot of students have trouble managing their time, especially how you're saying, figuring out the new schedule and how to put everything your mental health, activity, and leisure to everything in order. It's a little bit stressful, especially starting the first semester.
Right. And on top of that, a lot of people are working. I had applied to a job right before the semester began, but because they were requiring me to be there for orientation from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., I had to say sorry, can't do that. And so now I'm okay, what do I do? Now I have to pivot, I have to find a new job and pay rent and stuff now. It's a big stress, but I'm just trying to, go in whatever direction it's taking me and try to do what I can with what I have. But I can understand, a lot of people were saying that, rent was stressing them, and, school's a big stressor on top of that. So, I definitely hear you guys. It's hard out here.
Well, it's the semester starts, but the responsibilities don't stop. So it's you're still having to pay your bills. You're still taking care of family, maybe have siblings you're supporting or kids of your own. I mean, there's a lot of pieces to that puzzle, and it doesn't stop just because you're starting classes officially. It just becomes this juggling act of how do I keep everything up in the air and still manage to keep moving at the end of the day, which can feel a little impossible, I think, sometimes.
It's well, when do I take care of my mental health? Because it's I have all this stuff on my plate that's for my future. It's to keep me financially stable. That's the important stuff right now, is just surviving. And then at what point do I have time for my mental health, so.
I mean, we've talked about a lot of things, academic stressors, obviously, huge, major things, responsibilities and things like that. But I think it's also remembering that you're a human being too, and you have social connections that you might want to be able to pursue, and that life outside of college too, and trying to juggle those pieces. How is that going for you guys? Right, I think that says it all right there.
Right. I don't know. It's definitely hard. I think it's hard for everyone to try to I don't know, go. I'm an introvert, so I'm not someone who likes to go out of my way to hang out with people, but I know that every time I do, it's going to benefit me. And so on top of, what I have going on, remembering that is part of my mental health, is finding time for, the people in my life that I love and I care about, and trying to keep those relationships strong, and just balance that, that special word balance.
So you talked about that special word of balance, but the other one we're kind of talking about today is all about boundaries. So talk to me about boundaries, because I'll admit this, if you're anything like me, that's a hard one for me. It's tough to practice. How is that for you guys?
I feel like I always have a hard time of knowing when too much is too much. Like, I feel like I'm a chronic, like schedule adder oner, because I think I can handle it. And sometimes I can, but like, it's hard for me to say no in like situations where it's like someone's like, hey, can you come into work? And I'm like, I mean, I have 6 assignments, but I'll do it. Like, I don't know. So I don't know. It's hard for me to say no, but I'm like trying to work on that, and like knowing myself, knowing how long things take. And sometimes like as the semester goes on, you learn how much like certain classes are gonna take, so it's easier. But at the beginning of the semester, sometimes it's like really hard to gauge like, what can I do with this time? Like, is that like really a viable thing to say yes to, or should I just hold off? Or, I don't know. It's hard for me to kind of, get a sense of that starting off. So I feel like the hardest part about like creating boundaries is also this idea of like the college experience, that you're supposed to, have a really good time. Like, for my parents, it was always like college was the most fun thing ever for them. And then I get to college and I'm like, I'm just here to get my degree at the end of the day. So like, I think keeping in mind that like, it's not gonna be perfect, it is what you make it, and just try to do what you can with, the time that you can and the opportunities that you have, like, to create that balance and, I don't know, the scheduling and stuff that you have in your life. So
the hardest part of placing boundaries is like mentally drawing a divide between identifying all of your self-worth with like what you can do for others, and finding worth just within yourself and taking care of yourself. Because we all want to help people, altruism is great, but there's a certain point where you overexert yourself and then you're just not helping anyone, especially not yourself.
Well, I'm proud of you for setting that boundary, because you're right, it's hard. I'm a yes person. Don't tell everybody I said that, but like, I'm a yes person, so you ask me to do something, I'm going to jump on it. But setting that boundary, saying, no, I can't, that's a tough thing to do. Yeah. So those are moments we should do better at celebrating the saying no and setting the boundaries instead of feeling guilty about it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because I've had a situation where like I was working like maybe 30 hours a week at one of my jobs, and I was doing school, and I was taking like 22 units, and it was a lot. And at like one point I was like, I need to cut my hours, but I don't want to talk to them about it because that's scary. Like, I don't want to make them like have like an idea of me of like, oh, I'm just trying to get out of it, I'm not trying to work, but like really I was genuinely trying to just juggle everything, and I just put too much on my plate. So it's definitely a lot easier to like not to backtrack, but to just, ease into it more. So
when we set those healthy boundaries, that's where we find balance. And I think ultimately we're all trying to get to that place of balance and find that place where like, I don't feel overwhelmed, I don't feel underwhelmed, I'm just right in that nice little happy spot. But it's not always the easiest thing to achieve. So what's helping you guys right now create that semblance of balance?
Yeah, making sure like I have a really set, like organized planner is very helpful, definitely.
I'm an avid to-do lister, so like I have to have my, like this is the set of things that I'm gonna tackle, because if I don't have that, like you said, like I don't set my intent for the day, I don't set down what things I need to get done, I just don't tend to focus on those things and I lose sight of it too easily. Well, we asked our students on social media what was helping them create a sense of balance, and I had to kind of laugh a little bit because we asked a lot of questions on social for this episode, and most of them we got a lot of answers to. This one we got a lot of help. I could use some assistance on this. I don't know. I don't have it right now. I'm working on it. But there was also some great ones I wanted to share too. One person talked about having a 2-hour study session with their friends to help keep them on track. Kind of that dedicated time and space to work on something. We even got a shout out to one of the health center services, our Let's Talk program, saying I make sure that I go to Let's Talk every Friday. I love those as some great tips that we can also share with our listeners. Are there others you would add to that for those that might be in the category of I don't know or help me now, please?
I always call my friend, but she lives in San Francisco. But if I need to clean and I really need to focus on doing the dishes, because that's my least favorite chore, I always call her, and she whips me into shape, gets it done.
I love that. And then you're tackling something you don't want to do while doing something you do want to do, right?
Exactly.
I love it.
Balance.
Exactly, literally.
My mom is kind of that person for me. I'm like, do you think I can handle this? She's like, no. Or yeah, like she's blunt. She tells me like what she thinks. She knows what's going on in my life. So it's also really nice to have someone in your corner who like knows everything that's going on for you, and just to be able to be like, what do you think? You know, before you do add something or, you know.
All right, so we're doing something a little new this season on the podcast, and we have our question of the week on the podcast. So we're talking about balance, fun things that help create that balance. So would you rather take a walk on the beach or in the mountains?
I'm a mountain girl.
Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Either or. I don't think I have a preference.
Okay, if you had to pick one, though.
It depends on the season, I think.
Okay, good point. Good point.
That's a fair point, yeah.
See, it's interesting. Our great majority around the table actually is not in alignment with the rest of our followers. 66% of our followers said they would take that walk on the beach. So I guess they didn't mind the season, or maybe they didn't think about the seasons.
I can appreciate the sand in the toes, but the smell of the trees, that's what...
Pine trees.
Yes, that's what gets me. Christmas time?
Okay.
Anytime.
Now you're convincing me, because I probably would have said beach too, but now I'm getting swayed a little. You said Christmas time, and now I'm like, oh, that just sounds beautiful. Well, thank you guys all so much for being a part of this conversation and talking about balance. I think it's safe to say we all are a constant work in progress when it comes to balance and developing those healthy boundaries. Thank you so much to our listeners for tuning in. We appreciate you being here. Again, happy birthday to Marin and to Misha. Leave a comment for them and wish them a happy birthday yourself. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at FS Health Center, where we're going to share more opportunities to take that deeper dive into wellness and to have some fun at the same time. You can also visit our website at fresnostate.edu/health to learn more about the programs and services available at the Student Health and Counseling Center.